It's the Englishman KVTV, and Stephen Broadbridge was recently criticised for saying that if anyone boycotts Gerard Aboud's business, is being silly. My view, it's your money. If you want to do with your money what you want to do with your money, it's totally up to you. Where you spend it, that's your business. But I want to talk about the Aboud situation later. I don't know Gerard Aboud, but I do know I have worked with Stephen Broadbridge, and he's been on KVTV a couple of times, and I've met him on a couple of other occasions. With me meeting him, do I think he's racist? That didn't even cross my mind. Some of my black brothers and sisters, if you meet someone and you think that they are or might be racist, then you might get a little like spider sense or something telling you that, hey, hold on, something isn't quite right here. But I never had that feeling at all with Stephen. Do I think that if you meet someone, can you tell if they're racist or not just by meeting them a couple times? If that person wants you to know, then obviously yes. But if they don't want you to know, it's very hard to tell if someone is racist or not. Do I think Stephen Broadbridge is racist in his support of Gerard Aboud? No, but I do think that you have to be very careful and respectful with your terminology in the public domain these days. George Floyd, what happened to him has changed a lot of things in the world. The social temperature, emotions are running high. So you do have to be very careful with what is said, what is spoken. Do I think all lives matter? Of course all lives matter. But what has happened with George Floyd has been the tipping point. Black people around the world have said enough. And it's now, Black Lives Matter, now, to me anyway, now encompasses all forms of racism and injustices against black people. So by trying to dilute it and saying that all lives matter, when obviously all lives matter, of course all lives matter, but you cannot dilute the pain of Black Lives Matter by saying all lives matter. It's very, very emotional topic right now. 13 years ago, I lived in Dagenham in London, and that was the heartbeat of the National Front and the British National Party. I don't know what it's called now, but it's very right-wing political stance, which weren't too favourable to people of colour. So I was glad when I moved to TNT to see that those things would be finally put behind me. But within a few months of living in TNT, I realised there's racism in Trinidad and Tobago. Probably not as threatening as in England, because I tell you, in England, I grew up in Dagenham, I had a few tasty moments with racism. I've never felt really threatened over here. It just tends to be a lot of drunk talk, some hate, but like nothing actual. In England, you could, and in America, you could lose your life over racism. I don't feel threatened by racism in that way, but racism is still racism, and it does affect people. So I was sent this list of various establishments, and this sparked off an interesting debate in our WhatsApp group. A list of businesses to boycott since George Floyd, and most of those businesses I've never even heard of before. I'd never even heard of Starlight before all this. The only one on that list I had heard of was IAM, which was Indian, but I think there was on there for a previous incident with a black person. God rest their soul. the other day I posted a video on KVTV from the Asher Samaru Foundation, and it had some toxic racist language on there, and people were asking why did I repost it. And I suppose I reposted it at the time because, like, you know, I felt people needed to know what was going on out there, some of the hatred. But I think her views were too toxic. And I recently found out she had allegedly been arrested for assaulting her daughter. So yeah, I think there's something wrong with that lady. That's beyond racism. CNC3, they recently posted a photograph at the beginning of the month about Black Lives Matter protests at the US Embassy in Trinidad and Tobago. One of the photographs pictured a young man holding a placard saying, "Dear Trini Indians, can your children bring home a black wife or husband?" And of course, this upset a lot of Indian people. And the question wasn't being answered. All the gentleman had to do was just say, "Dear Trinidadians, can your children bring home a black husband or wife?" And they would have had to, you know, put most of the attention on the question, because that wouldn't have been racist if he just said, "Dear Trinidadians." So your terminology has got to be so important. In the same TNT post, there was also comments about, you know, why are we protesting? And this has got nothing to do with Trinidad and things. But as I say, the Black Lives Matter slogan has encompassed a whole lot more than just police brutality in America. It's it invoked a lot of deep, passionate emotions about racism and injustice towards black people, and we've had enough, and we're speaking out and protesting. For example, why is the mayor of Port of Spain considering pulling down the Christopher Columbus statue? Yeah, my opinion, pull it down, yes. Yeah, as a start, what this has brought about is debate. People are now starting to talk about this more, which is, to me, very favourable. There's a lot of protests going on around the world. Honestly, in this time where there's a pandemic, I am not going to any protest. I don't think it's safe. From what I see in America and in England, and even in Trinidad, the last protest where there was a little altercation with the police over here, there wasn't any social distancing there, you know, and, you know, a lot of people did have masks, but it only takes the one or two that don't. If you want to protest, do what you want to do within the law, but be careful, be safe. The future, I think, is in the hands of the youth. And the beautiful post that Asher Samaru's daughter put up is like a testament to that. That's powerful, where the daughter's speaking out against the mother. Now, I understand today Mr. Aboud issued an apology on his Facebook statement. If he didn't issue that apology, and I happen to be, it's highly unlikely for me, because I say, but if I did happen to be by one of his Starlight pharmacies, because he's issued that apology, and I needed something from the pharmacy, if I was there, that apology would be accepted on my part, and I would shop there. I wouldn't go out of my way to shop there, but I would shop there. He's apologized. If he didn't apologize, then no, I wouldn't have shopped there. But as I say, it's your money. You decide what you want to do with your money.